You guys have been loving our listicle videos, so I'm back with another one, and this is 5 everyday items you probably already have that you can use in the shop. And I threw in a few bonuses too. Let's go. First up, we've got a bit of a controversial topic, and that's gonna be plastic drinking straws. The world hates them, but they are great to have around the shop. Let me show you why. Here we've got a butt joint, and you can see there's a bunch of squeeze out inside of it. This trick has become insanely popular. You just come in with the straw and clean up your squeeze out. It goes into the straw and makes the job super, super clean and easy. First reason you wanna have straws in your shop. All right, so the next reason you wanna have some straws around your shop is if you're working with a finish that you don't need a ton of, you can literally take the straw, dip it in, pull out a tiny amount, and then you don't have to dump it all over the can, which is a problem with finishes like Rubio or most of the hand-applied hard wax finishes. So this is a good way to just grab a little bit of finish, put it on whatever surface, or use it however you're gonna use it without dirtying the can. I've also recently been using a similar technique with epoxy in small cracks and voids in slabs. This helps you get a little bit better control, stay a little bit cleaner. This technique's something I thought was pretty cool that I actually haven't used yet, but I wanted to try. Essentially what we're gonna do is take a straw and make it into a little transportable finish holder. Now this won't work with a flammable finish, but you want to just melt the end of your straw together. And we're kind of going to make a honey stick out of the straw. You'll need some needle nose and a lighter. I'm going to heat it up, pinch it together. So now you have a sealed end. You're just going to take some of your finish with another straw and fill up your existing straw. I think this works better for if you only need a tiny bit. You're going to want to do the same thing, squeeze it shut, and you've got a tiny little portable tube of finish. And when you get onto the job site, you can crack it open if you need to do some touch up, put it right onto your finished surface. I think that one's pretty cool. I don't know if I'm going to use it, but if you try, let me know. And the last use of straws that I think is pretty cool, say you find yourself in a situation where you've got a pile of sawdust in front of you that you happen to have dropped some stuff that you need that you don't feel like rooting through the pile to find. This is all for the sake of example. Grab yourself some straws, grab your dust extractor, jam the straws into the end of your shop vac or whatever it is, squeeze them in there to essentially create a bunch of little hoses you can use to suck up the sawdust. Don't stick the flexible side in. As long as you've got some fine dust, you should be able to easily start sucking it up. It would also work if you fell in like a hard to get place. Definitely worth having a few straws around. You can also do the same thing, reducing down to a single straw to kind of root around and find something in a pile of whatever. Plastic straws, you need them in your shop. Next up, we've got something that you're probably super familiar with that you may or may not have thought you would need ever again in your life. And if you have kids, you definitely have these laying around your house, tongue depressors or popsicle sticks. The most obvious reason to have these laying around is gonna be for stirring and mixing stuff. It's just nice to have dedicated stirring things so you're not grabbing like a piece of dusty wood and sticking it in your finish. These are always really clean, and I'm actually gonna show you a little hack for using a rubber band in the bonus section to make this even easier. But stirring things, pretty obvious. You wanna use them for that. Along with stirring, for us, comes the quite often need for using pigments, powder pigments specifically. What we found with a tongue depressor compared to pretty much anything else, like a stick that you're gonna get off your table saw or whatever, is that these make for a great spoon. You can pick up any pigment, use this as a spoon, and then immediately go into whatever you're mixing and stir it. Good to go. Really nice to have around. The next use is gonna be as a shim. Because you have a perfectly flat and uniform piece of wood here, they work a little bit better than your standard shim in some applications. You can use them for everything from like leveling something on your uneven floor to putting up baseboard and sticking them behind the baseboard in order to make sure that it's got a fully flush surface top to bottom that you can nail into if you've got gaps or a curve or a bow in your wall. They're great for stuff like that, whether you're on the job site or you're in the shop. Another great application for having these tongue depressors around is to use in clamping. If you've ever had something that's finished that you need to put a clamp on, like these samples we have here, or you just don't want your clamp butting up against your wood surface, these work great in a pinch. Place them inside the clamp and cinch it down. You could lay these inside of your clamp, and these red I-beams, they really like to mar the surface and leave like a red residue. We'll find ourselves using these to just keep them from doing that. They're really nice and really easy in a pinch. You don't have to cut anything, and they're always gonna be perfectly uniform, just like I was saying with the shims. That way you're gonna get even clamping pressure. You can also use them to get specific clamping pressure in a certain spot. So use them on the ends of your clamps to prevent marring on a surface. The next everyday item that I will always have in my shop is going to be a box or a sleeve of box cutter blades. These to me are one of the most versatile, everyday, handy things you can have in your workshop. Fact. Tons of applications. Just like the straw, if you're dealing with some squeeze out, I like to use a razor blade, especially in a hard to reach place, in order to scrape a corner. I'll just take it and then wipe it on another surface, come back, and it doesn't happen in one pass, but it really lets you get into that corner. I'm a big fan. Another application that I love is just generally using the razor blade as a scraper. You can pretty much scrape a surface just like using a card scraper with a razor blade if you've got some stuff on it. We've got CA glue on the surface of your workpiece, however it may have got there. Yuck. A lot of us have a card scraper that looks like this, that's literally covered in glue and is just used to scrape stuff. Well, you can also use the box cutter blade in the same fashion. Save you ruining your card scraper, but you can see easily removes, and I'm even getting shavings just like a card scraper. The use of the box cutter, if you're not trying to have the full box cutter in your hand too, can really come in handy when you're doing stuff like laying out tape, and it just makes for really quick work. And then you just chuck it and throw it away. Really convenient, and then it's just, you know, in your hand instead of finding the full box blade. Having the razor out of the box cutter itself allows you to mount it in a vise and then bring the work to it. You'll see a lot of guys, especially in the decking industry, who will use this to do stuff like cut tape and give them even cuts across, stuff like that. You'd want to mount this, but you kind of get the gist. You can pull that across, pretty convenient. I like to use this technique for things like cutting up rags. We get discarded t-shirts from a lot of places, and you can pull the shirt against the blade and give yourself a t-shirt rag without having to cut into whatever surface you're on. Obviously, if you're cool with cutting into like your workbench, you can do the same thing, just like that. It's really handy for stupid shit that you would never really think of until you have them, and then you're finding all kinds of uses for it. And then for you woodworkers out there, obviously holding this, you can use it one way or another, but edge banding becomes something that becomes a little bit easier when you're able to hold the blade in your finger. Get pretty tight on it there, and then you can come back and you can hold it flush to your surface and get yourself a nice crispy edge with your blade in your hand that you can't really get if it's in the tool. I like to just have these laying around pretty much for all kinds of stuff like this. Works like a dream. Box cutter blades, definitely need to have those laying around the shop. Before we dive into the last two items, I've got a few bonuses for you. First being drawer liners. If you're not familiar, a drawer liner goes in a drawer.
Gee, I never thought of that.
Keeps things from slipping around. It's great to have this stuff around the shop, and look, I'm using a razor, because it becomes a sanding mat for you to help with slipping. Lay the non-slip drawer liner on your bench, lay whatever you're working on it, and you can see it gives you a nice stable surface. That's whether you're sanding something, you could be chiseling, you could be routing. It just gives you a way more sturdy place to put down your smaller work. It's great for like really small stuff too. So grab yourself some drawer liner. You're gonna be glad it was laying around. Next bonus item is gonna be wax paper. You'll see wax paper in a lot of shops, and a very common application is to lay it on top of your clamps when you're doing a glue up so the glue doesn't get down onto the metal. What we're trying to avoid is being a lazy bum like me and getting this glue all over, because it makes it really hard for your clamps to close. The best application for this, and what I see a lot, is if you're someone who makes cutting boards, this will save you a lot of cleanup on the glue. You can just get your glue on there. Any of that squeeze out's gonna get on the wax paper instead of on the metal, keeping your tools nice and clean. The next little wax paper hack is if you are someone who works with paint a lot and you wanna save yourself from getting that nasty film that sometimes shows up in latex, you can take wax paper, put it on your paint can, come back, and that'll help with all of the problems that come from that super gross layer that grows on top. And lastly, wax paper does have wax on it.
What? No way.
So you can take the paper, crunch it up, and if you're in a pinch, you can use it to lightly wax your metal surfaces, make them a little slicker. Works great on table saws, works great on your bandsaw, pretty much works great on any flat metal surface. It'll leave a little bit of a film on there and give you a smoother glide between your full maintenance care. Before we get into any more tools, I want to take a second for all of you beginner business owners out there and let you know that we've got some unbelievable opportunities available right now with my business course, Craft a Career. First and foremost, if you're brand new looking to get customers, I've got a challenge that's going to show you how to get 5 customers in less than 5 days. And I'm telling you, it's changing the lives of a ton of my students right now. Or if you've already had a business for a while and you're looking to take your game to the next level, we've got an unbelievable program for that as well with our Accelerator Academy and our Surge program. So if you're looking to take the next step with your business, check out our opportunities with Craft a Career in the description down below. I highly suggest it and would love to have you become part of our unbelievable business community. The next bonus item you definitely have in your junk drawer, and that's going to be rubber bands, or as we call them, gum bands. First up, there's a brand out there that has a squeeze clamp like this with a band inside of it, and you can take a couple rubber bands and make it yourself. You simply just take this $1 clamp, you're gonna thread it through the hole on one side, thread it through the hole on the other. If you got chubby fingers and you're on camera, it's obviously gonna take you longer than it should. Come on. You can pull it down over the handle, and more or less, you've created a bandy clamp that you can then apply pressure this way if you're putting on edge banding or something. This next use goes back to finishing. So say you got your can of finish here and you are using a brush for application. You can take the rubber band or the gum band, put it on your can of finish or paint or whatever you're using. Good thing this one's completely full. Then after you make a mess, you'll use it as a drip catch. So you can dip your thing in and then use the rubber band to wipe the excess back into the can without getting it everywhere. I always thought that was a fun, cool hack that a lot of people use and you see quite often on the internet.
I may use that.
Rubber bands also come in great handy for miter glue ups, especially on small boxes. If you don't have clamps to get on there, you can just pile on a couple gum bands and get yourself a nice tight glue up. And the last little tip using a rubber band is, say you're someone who supports the channel and you've purchased one of my plans, or this hat, by the way, which is on limited release right now and has nothing to do with the rubber band. But anyway, say you purchased a plan. You are trying to look at it on the tabletop and you don't like having all this paper fluffing around or whatever. You can simply take a rubber band, open your plan to whatever page you want, and then the rubber band will hold the paper from flapping around, and you can easily read one of our amazing plans that we have for all kinds of stuff in our shop. This has a plan, we got a plan for this one. We've definitely got a plan for this thing. And this is our most popular plan. This will also keep it from sliding around the table because it has that little bit of rubber. But if you're looking to support the channel, make sure you're checking out our plans. We have an absolute ton of awesome plans for in the shop, in the house, and all over the place. It's the best way to support the channel if you're a fan. Now that we're done with all the bonuses, let's jump back into number 4. The next item you're gonna wanna have around that you probably have in a drawer at your house is a deck of cards or multiple decks of cards. Now my buddy Brad Rodriguez at Fix This Build That did a fantastic video on a bunch of tips for using cards in the shop. A few of these are gonna be repeats, but I do have some different ones. The first use I really love is getting spacing on your drawer fronts. This is a little work cart that we have a plan for on the website that has inset doors, and that's what this application's for. What you wanna do is set the drawer front in place, seat it on the bottom and one side. You then take your deck of cards, fit as many as you possibly can in the gap on the top. There's your top gap. Same thing goes for the opposite side. So you take your cards, that fits pretty good. Let's add one more. Can we get, awesome. The next step is you take all of your cards. So we've got this stack in the top gap here, this stack that fits on your left gap. You wanna take those out, take your drawer front out. Then count them, 27. Half of 27 is 13 and a half. So we're gonna go 13 cards on each side, 14 on the other. Same thing goes on your left and right. You could tape these together if you'd like, but you can set those cards on the drawer face on the bottom there, and then you can do the same thing on the left and the right. It'll give you perfectly spaced gaps on the top and the bottom all the way around. Then, for these ones, I would put a piece of double-sided tape on the back. I can come out here and put this clamp on them and then go ahead and screw the drawer front back in, and it'll have perfectly sound spacing the whole way around. I've used it for years, works fantastic on inset doors. Another great use of a deck of cards is if you have a dowel or something protruding and you want to get a flush cut, it's perfect for that. Cut out a little section. Some people will put an actual round in it, and another great application for the razor blade. So you can cut out a section of the card, put it around the dowel, come back with your flush cut saw, and it'll help from cutting into the surface of your material. no marring around the dowel. Brad's video also has a ton of other things that you can do with a deck of cards that I think are super helpful, so check that out. Everything from shims to crazy magic tricks. Magic. If you're into that kind of thing. I'm not, but what I am into is getting as much use as I possibly can out of something. So in a pinch, you can create little standoffs. All you wanna do is fold them in half and then half again. It'll give it some rigidity, and then you can put it down, put your workpiece on top of it. It'll give you something that's not on the surface for finishing, like I said, in a pinch. Decent use of a deck of cards, obviously. You wanna keep those and not throw them out if you're gonna do that, but awesome to have around the shop. Highly recommend deck of cards. And number 5, the last item that you probably have in your house, especially if you have kids, that you should have in the shop is gonna be chalk. There's a ton of uses of chalk in the shop, but we find ourselves using it for the most are these specific things. 1, we use it for marking dark woods. It shows up really well, and if you're just rough cutting a piece of lumber and you need to get a couple pieces cut out of it, it's great for that, right? You can have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, mark all of your parts, rough cut them out. Everything's easy to see and it comes right off. Also works great on things in the rough, and we primarily use white chalk because it shows up on pretty much everything. The next application is gonna be for sanding and planing. If you're sanding something and you wanna mark the surface, chalk works really well, comes off very easily, then you know how far you've gone as you've sanded. Same thing goes if you're trying to find the high sides of something going through your planer, you can use this technique there, works awesome. And the last awesome use for chalk that we use all the time is marking out slabs and rough lumber. It's way easier to write on rough lumber with a piece of chalk than it is to write on it with a pencil. You're gonna break the pencil tip all day, whether you're using a regular pencil or a lead pencil. Just use yourself a piece of chalk. I promise you, it's gonna save you a ton of time, way easier to see as well. And that's gonna be a wrap on all of the household items that you should probably have in your shop. If you dig this video, leave a comment down below. And also, we've only got limited availability on these hats. If you're interested in one of them, grab yourself one literally right now, because I promise they'll be sold out.
Do it!
And if you've got any other tips or household items we should try in another video, leave those in the comments as well. I'd love to hear them. I'd love to hear your opinions. I love you guys. Let me know. What are we gonna build next?